Welcome to Around the NRL. My name is Grant Chappell. I'm joined by two former Rabbitohs. Darren Brown, Steve Maven. What's doing, boys?
Hello, chaps. Hello, Brownie.
Yeah, g'day, boys. How are we?
Not too bad. We're back to that solid intro, mate. It's going to be a big Melbourne Cup special. It's all on tomorrow. The races stops the nation. I don't know if it stops the nation anymore. Peter V'landys's put a stop to that, but that's just the way. That's the way he is.
Well, he's got his own carnival at Randwick tomorrow. He's got some special event happening, and he's trying to take all the limelight away from the Melbourneites down there. He did it with the Caulfield Cup and the Everest.
They don't like it.
No, they don't.
The Golden Eagle, that's pretty much one of the biggest races in Australia. They refused to put the commentary on it the other day at the track at Flemington. Didn't go down well, south of the border.
Well, he's done well to build it up against the Sydney Carnival, against the Melbourne Carnival, because the Golden Eagle on Caulfield Cox Plate Day, of all days, is the second most richest race in Australia now, behind the Everest. So we've got the top two richest races, 15 million and 10 million, and then the Melbourne Cup's worth 7.5 million. So the prize money's there, and you can see why.
It's incredible.
You know, Frankie Dettori came and rode in Sydney, and Jamie Carr come up from Melbourne when it was Cox Plate Day.
And he's doing something right with the Australian racing because he's getting record crowds as well. That Everest Day, I think they had 63,000 there, which eclipsed the previous record of about 60,000. So, Peter V'landys, you're doing wonders, not only in racing, but in rugby league as well.
I don't know if he's going to be able to produce a race on Melbourne Cup Day that's going to stop the race that stops the nation, but we shall see. If you do that, you could be considered a complete genius. We all love something new, and Darryl Lee has produced two new sensations with their famous smooth and creamy chocolate. They've got the milk chocolate balls and the white chocolate balls. They're available at all leading supermarkets. Darryl Lee makes it better.
Well, your slogan, chaps, what's doing, boys? And I can tell you now, I've been eating plenty of Darryl Lee chocolates. That's what's doing with me.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they're not bad, are they?
We are big in Bangladesh, believe it or not. So our top 5 countries, viewing-wise, in the last 28 days, you would never guess, but number 1 is Bangladesh. Number 2 is the USA. Number 3 is Australia. And then we've got Norway and Denmark. So, Hunyaba to our friends in Bangladesh. That means thank you.
We're big all over the world, aren't we, boys? We're global.
I don't know
What's the attraction?
I don't know, but maybe
Hunya Bar, boys. We're big. We're big at the top of the Ganges, mate. Don't worry about that.
That's it.
It all starts there.
And we'll touch on the Bangladeshians a little bit later in our cricket segment.
Yep.
So there's a lot happening around the world in all sports.
Look out for them in the next World Cup. There could be an emerging rugby league nation, the Bangladeshis. You never know.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, they're mad about cricket. I know about that.
Now, around the NRL, chaps, the big story is that our big 3 have signed on the dotted line.
Well, have they? Has it been announced by the Rabbitohs, or is it just in the mainstream media that have announced it? But where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, that's right, Brownie. We usually do wait until the club announces, so we are speculating here on Around the NRL, but it seems like that's what's going to happen, chaps.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. It doesn't put me under any stress at any stage. I think all 3 will sign on the dotted line. It might be just a case of how long and how much for, but they're all coming back. So,
well, it might be just a formality, chaps, and they're waiting for them to come back from the World Cup so they can have a press conference maybe. I think
the sticking point's been Damien Cook, not the other two. It's all been about Damien Cook because we've got a couple of young blokes coming through. Their managers are probably a bit antsy about it. How long is Damien signing for? He's 32 already. He's there for 3 years. Does Peter Mamazoulis' manager look elsewhere? Does Romano Cook's manager look elsewhere? That's a little bit of ramifications each time you sign a veteran like that.
Yep.
For the next bloke coming through, how patient is he going to be when it comes to the bloke in front of him?
Well, if it does happen, it's a major coup for the Rabbitohs, signing them big 3, because a lot of clubs would have been out there chasing all of them players. Oh, yeah. And along with young Lockie Ilias, who only signed a couple of weeks ago. So if it does happen, our spine is tied up for the next couple of years, and that's only a positive moving forward in terms of our performances and our strive to win 22.
Yeah, there are some rumours out there that 2 former grand final heroes could be on a train and trial deal over the next month or so. We'll see how that one pans out, boys.
2. Well, I know who one is. We speculated on the show. Big Georgie is one, I suppose.
He'd have to be
Who's
one.
the other one?
Geez, would it be Ben Tia?
Hasn't played for a while.
Is that, am I on the mark there?
No.
No?
He
Okay.
played last year, the year before, Ben Tia.
Okay.
Come on, chaps, let the fans know.
Kirasom Ava'a.
Okay, yeah.
Powerful centre.
Yeah.
I think he tried to come back at the start of last year, but wasn't in shape. Club might have asked him to do X, Y, and Z. If he ticks those boxes, he's going to get a run this year. So we'll see. We might see Kirasomi out there having a crack.
Scored a try right in front of us at the grand final in 2014, Brownie.
Yeah,
what a powerhouse he was. He just come up from the Melbourne Storm, didn't know a lot about him, and by the end of the year, the whole NRL knew exactly who he was because he just ran with that much purpose, spread teams apart, played the ball pretty quick, was a good defensive centre, super aggressive. He wouldn't mind getting him back to some sort of form, and who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen in rugby league.
Just going back to the big three, boys, and if it does happen to happen, the Renault saga, which happened 12 months ago, would this have happened if we'd signed Renault on that long-term deal that he wanted?
Yeah, probably not.
You'd have lost one of those 300%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's ramifications for everything, isn't there? You know?
It's a juggling act for the retention committee. We've got some good people there, and we've got to trust they're doing the right job. And
they've had 5 prelims in a row, mate. They're doing the right job. Don't worry about that now.
Exactly.
More news. Mavo, Josh Jackson, who's just been a workhorse, one of the most reliable back rowers in the competition. Hasn't been at his best the past 12 months or 18 months. I think he's been dropping off tackles here and there, but he's decided to hang up the boots, boys. Joshy Jackson, 241 NRL games. Played State of Origin, played for Australia. He's done it all in the game.
Well, I think he's done the doggies a huge favour. That's the talk, because he was signed for next year, and if he's going to give that up, then that allows them to free up a big chunk of salary cap, $500K, Brownie. So
look, and like you said, chaps, he was a great servant of the game, a country boy who achieved all the honours. I don't think he won a grand final. He played in 2, I'm pretty sure. One against us and another one against Melbourne, maybe. But like you said, he represented. He won Dally M Awards and was as tough as they come. Played well above his weight. There was one Origin series there a couple of series ago where he was outstanding. They weren't going to pick him.
Tackled everything that moved.
Yeah, and he was probably nearly man of the series. So, yeah, look, he's not a big fella. And the game's probably got away from him a little bit in terms of the size of the back rowers these days. They're big and rangy, even though Cameron Murray's not so big as well, but they're quite tall. And, he probably just didn't want to put his body through another off-season of training with Kick-Out coming to the club. He didn't want him running against him.
A player who's well-respected in the game, Brownie.
Yeah, and he's the sort of player that every team wants. He's just a hard worker, great role model for young kids. And good luck to you, Josh. All the best in the future. Now, I did mention that it frees up some salary cap. Now, a few of the players on offer that'll be available to be signed for 2024, I believe, would be Stephen Crichton, Mitchell Moses, Jeremiah Nanai, Joseph Suali'i, Dylan Brown, and Brian Do'o. So maybe the Dogs will be in the market for them. Maybe the Bunnies could snare one or two of those.
The Dogs they've probably been the most active in the market this year, and they had to be. Obviously, Gus has come in and put a broom through the place and signed a heap of new players over the last couple of years. A lot of them players that you just spoke about, Mavo, Gus has worked with at the Penrith Panthers in terms of Crichton and Toho. So there's plenty on the market. And like you said, Mavo, hopefully the Rabbitohs, after we sign our big 3, there might be another one coming after that.
You never know. The Junior League rule change. I don't like it. They want to stop the tackling, Brownie, and that's just unheard of. When we were kids, you've just played footy and you learn your defensive, how to tackle as a young fella all the way through, and playing in the grand final, so they want to take away the competitiveness and take away the tackling. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, it doesn't, Mavo, and I'm in agreement with Keith McCraw and the board of the South Sydney Juniors of standing against going with the NRL. And look, I can understand where they're coming from. They want the players to enjoy themselves, and unfortunately the way the game is, it's dominated by the Polynesian boys, and they're quite big at a younger age, especially them ones out, Penrith and out west. So I can understand from a parent's point of view, they want to restrict all the contact and obviously the head knocks. But look, at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. But, geez, it's great on grand final day, isn't it, when the boys are competing to win that premiership. And they know what it's all about from a young age.
Mm.
Yeah, so the new rule is, to explain it, they're not going to be playing for points at all. Is that right? Or it's non-competitive?
Well, there's two rules.
No tackles up to, was it 12 or 13?
That's right. There's no tackles up to the age of 13, and they're not playing for points up till ages 8 or 9.
They should mix in a bit of netball too. So you play a half of just touch footy, a little bit of netball, then finish with a basketball or something like that.
Yeah, well,
good idea.
They'll breed a whole era of arm grabbers.
Well, that's right, 100%.
Like, that's just not on. That's not rugby league.
I wasn't a bad arm grabber, actually, back in the day. I might have to make a comeback.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to rugby union, boys, and probably hence the reason why we're not dominant at the highest level in rugby union is because there's no competitions in their scrums up until the age of 15 or 16. There's no pushing, so we're getting dominated in the scrummage area. It's only going to be the same in rugby league once we get to an older age.
We'll move on to the Rugby League World Cup. But firstly, just so you know, Bunnies TV is proudly supported by Darryl Lee and also the Juniors Group of Clubs, NG Farah. You're watching this on a George's camera, and Barnaby Water with a purpose.
We didn't get one today, chaps.
It's been, no, they've had a supply problem,
I told you,
so we just have to share this one.
Okay, fair enough.
So last week on the show, we got up to the last game of week 2, and that was PNG versus the Cook Islands, and they put 32 points on the Cook Islands to 16. And Brownie, you watched that game and were rather impressed by the hooker.
Yeah, very impressed, and chaps pointed him out to me in round 1 of the competition where he had an absolute blinder of a game. And Edwin Lalapi,
Ipape, is it?
Puppy.
Edwin Ipape.
Ipape. Now, he plays in the UK, he plays for Lee, who is coached by Adrian Lamb, a Papua New Guinean himself, but he's on the coaching staff for the Aussies. And he actually had the opportunity, he came out here and was in the Manly system for a couple of years, this young Puppy. And I did a little bit of research on him. But, yeah, what a player. 40 tackles, 4 tackle breaks in 56 minutes, 122 metres. Every time he gets to the ball, he's very creative out of dummy half. He's just one of them players that likes to take off and look for options coming out of dummy half. And Vossi, you know what Vossi's like with his calls. He's got some great slogans with his calls. And he said every time he takes the ball out of dummy half, the bells start ringing. The next time he took the ball, he went ding, ding, ding. Here he comes.
Vossi is very good, and I think he ran for the most metres of any forward on the field. You don't see a hooker doing that ever, especially in a World Cup. So, yeah, he's...
The winger was impressive too. I don't know about you, but Roderick Ty scored a try off the kickoff, didn't he?
Yes.
Come through, busted from, ran all the way down.
It was, I think it was one of them 20-metre taps.
20-metre taps, yeah, busted straight from.
Oh, yeah. It's like the old
I thought Laybutt was impressive again. There was a front row come off the bench. Mackenzie Yei, he was really strong. I think he got sent off for 10. He was very aggressive. He hit a bloke across the chops, and it was all fair enough. But his carries and his tackling was outstanding. Yeah,
some of the players, they're playing a great brand of footy for a team that's only got a handful of players with NRL experience. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, they've got a great coach on the coaching staff in Shane Flanagan. Mm-hmm. And they're playing a great brand of footy. I'm really enjoying watching them play. And they play today or tonight, early morning, for the last game of round 3.
Alex Johnston hasn't scored in 2 games. What price would that have been at the start of the competition? So he's probably stuffed a few. He's setting a few
Maldies back there, fullback. He's a set-up man now.
Yeah, it's different than playing on the lethal left for the mighty Bunnies to be at fullback for the Kummels.
And it's exactly what I had on my notes, chaps. His try assists are unbelievable. I think he had 2 try assists in round 2. Yeah. His positional play is outstanding, like you said last time as well. And I think what the Kummels are experiencing and benefiting from more than anything is his experience. He's probably the most experienced player in the team, and he's leading the way.
Yep. So week 3 kicked off, and the Kiwis put 48 points on Ireland. They put 10 on the board. The Kiwis' goal kicking wasn't up to scratch, though. 4 out of 10, so that could be a problem for them once they get to the knockout stages, which start next week. Did you watch that?
It was a strong win. I think it was Jerome Hughes and Brandon Smith sort of set up a few tries. They were pretty strong.
Oh, yeah. You were impressed by Jerome Hughes, Brownie?
Oh, probably the most individual game of the tournament, I'd say. He came up with 2 tries, 3 try assists, 115 metres, 18 tackle breaks for a little halfback. He was outstanding, and 3 line breaks. So, yeah, a great performance all round. And once again, Joey Manu out the back, another 255 metres he run for. He's just a revelation at fullback, isn't he?
It wasn't a great day for the Irish, that one.
Hardgraves, another.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, boys.
Whack in the head, and look, it's not in his game. We know that's not part of his game. He never hits people across the chops. I said that on Twitter, and there was a lot of memes thrown at me, laughing memes and that. But people spitting in their coffee and that. Like.
It's just the way he plays, isn't it? You wouldn't expect anything less from JWH.
And look, I mean, is there intention in it? Yeah, probably. He come out to hit that bloke.
The bloke was tackled around the legs. He was going nowhere. He could have just come around and wrapped the ball up. But he had to go high and get him straight round the head.
The commentators weren't too happy about it.
No, well, they wanted him sent off. And so he should have been. With his form, he keeps doing it.
Hasn't he just come back from suspension from the South game?
100%.
He's whacked someone in the head straight away. So he hasn't learnt a thing.
Not one thing.
Oh, Sydney Roosters, eh? England 94 put a huge score on Greece, who only managed the 1 try. It was 17 tries, and our boy Tommy B scored a double. Yeah,
player of the tournament from me at this stage of the tournament. I think he's been outstanding, Tommy B. His charges, and they just can't handle him, the big fella.
Yeah, they're a well-drilled side. Everyone seems to be in the right position when they do shift the ball or turn it underneath. Little Georgie Williams has been impressive too, the halfback. Well, which he sort of, I wouldn't say he failed out here, but he started off like a house on fire, and his form dipped. I think he was homesick and he went home. But
the Raiders,
in the class player, Georgie Williams.
Well, he is, and especially on home turf, chaps. And we spoke about it before on the show. It's not easy to go over there and play in them conditions. Obviously, the end goals are a lot smaller. The weather, the pitches are sometimes rock hard or soft. So it's very hard. And then the Poms, they just love it. They love playing on their home turf.
Former Super League star Darren Brown there with his comments. And
the 5'8" too. The 5'8", Schneed. I've been impressed with him. I didn't know anything about him before this tournament.
Oh, there you go.
He had 5 try assists. Only 5.
Only 5. That's the beauty of the World Cup. A lot of players come out of their shell and they get noticed.
Well, wait till he comes up against, if we get to play him.
Cam Munster.
Yeah.
You were going to say Dominic Young, 4 tries, Mava.
Yeah, 4
outstanding.
Tries. Well, it's, wait till they start doing it in the big games, then we can start talking about it a bit more.
I read a post on Twitter. It said one of the biggest blunders in English rugby league history is Huddersfield not offering Dominic Young a contract. I don't know about that one, but
yeah.
What about Sam Burgess? You should have kept him over there too.
Well, not only did he score 4 tries, it was 4 tries in the first half. I believe it was a record from a Pommy. In 36 minutes.
Yeah, so what's he scored 8 tries or something?
They were talking about, well, he's the leading try scorer in the tournament. They were talking about Martin Afai's 10 tries that he scored in a Challenge Cup final, I think it might have been, for Widnes or Wigan, one of them teams.
Amazing.
Shout out to you, Martin. Legend of a bloke.
He's certainly not doing his price any harm when he goes on the open market, young. And
Young.
I
like that one.
And you made a modelling debut on the 4B website, the Burgess Boys apparel.
Yeah.
We took a photo of you at the Urco Bolo. Shout out to the team out there. They let us put our banners up there, and you were wearing top to toe 4B label, and we need to get something. We need to get some 4B gear on the show here, I think, if you're watching this, Tommy or Sam or Bizza.
Yeah, I'm always wearing the 4B label. It's great clothing. It's good quality. Their hoodies are outstanding. Obviously, we're coming into summer now. They've got a new range coming out. Just their casual shorts, their tank tops. Great quality. Do yourself a favour. Jump online. You'll see my ugly head on there.
Yeah.
But, just buy some of their gear. It's outstanding.
You'll be walking the catwalk at Milan one day, the way you're going.
That's been done before.
Shirt off.
The new Barry Beef.
I'm impressed with your knowledge of the range of 4B clothing. But
Yeah. Wonder if we get some Bunnies TV branded apparel from 4B. Wouldn't that be a match made in heaven? So watch this space. Australia 66, Italy 6. So we put that mob away. Stretch scored a double and Trell Mitt scored a try and put on an excellent try assist. And Camp scored. So all our Bunnies scored, and I think went a long way to securing their spot in the top squad.
Yeah, well, I believe, chaps, and you'll have a say on this, I think all three will be in the starting 13 when the team will be named probably later in the week for next week's game. I think Stretch will get the nod over Tuolangi on the wing. I thought his performance the last 2 weeks have been outstanding.
Yep.
Yeah, strong. He's good in the air. He's safe as houses.
His tough carries.
Tough carries are there.
Yep.
Look, he's a finisher. I mean, they botched a bloody dropout and he come through and scored and all that sort of stuff.
But,
he made it look easy.
But that was a reward from the play before to force the dropout because he was the one that chased clear his kick and got him in goal.
Yeah.
So that was just a great reward.
Contention, man of the match was nearly fell over when they said it was Jeremiah Nanai.
Yeah, I know.
How was he man of the match?
I know.
Yeah.
What were they watching? Like
Latrell
Mitchell was his touches aren't huge in terms of he doesn't have 20 carries a game.
We've always said that.
This was absolute quality.
What about his first...
I'd hate to defend against this bloke in the World Cup.
Chaps, get your thoughts on his first pass to Tuolangi for his first try was unbelievable. But he headed infield and drew two players and then passed in the same motion.
Yep.
Not many players can do that. He's one of them.
There was another one.
That was very classy.
Assist where he hit the line and basically flicked it towards the ground. It was a great pickup by Tuolangi. He must be rubbing his hands together playing outside him. But I don't think you'll be getting a run there, Tuolangi, because the Fox and him, the combination of them in that second game, it looks pretty strong. That's the most deadly combination maybe Australia's ever had. Yeah. Mitchell, Fox. How exciting.
And Crichton as well on that left edge. He'll be there as well.
And just a quick one. Campbell Graham, is he a better centre or a better winger?
Oh, look, I think he's probably at this stage of his career, he's a better centre for the South Sydney Rabbitohs without a doubt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But to earn a spot in the Kangaroos team, well, he's got to take his spot on the wing.
Well, I don't think he's better than Trell Mitt and Val Holmes at the moment. Val Holmes is just, he's a superstar.
Jackie Whiten might get a nod here and there as well. He sort of, I wouldn't say he's on the outer, but he doesn't seem to be getting the nod in front of Val Holmes, does he? No. Well, you look at Latrell Mitchell, he's a fullback in our club. He's got to jump in the centre. Campbell Graham, it's not really a centre for Australia, he's a winger for Australia. So.
And Cam Murray plays on an edge.
Instead of being a lock. Gizio played well, didn't he?
And all three of them will
he was good, Isaiah.
Find a position in the team. And number 7, boys, I'm going with Cleary.
100%. You got to go with Cleary. It's just a no-brainer. Mal reckons he's losing sleep over it. I don't know what. There's no question there. He's
probably got a good connection with him. I really like Tino Fasmawali too. His tournament's been strong.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
Yeah, he's got to be in our 7.
Yeah, I think he'll be starting. Tino in the front row.
And I suppose you'd ask any of these boys, like Stretch Graham, he'd be happy to wear any jersey that's got the kangaroo on it.
Yes.
Playing a test. So anyway, we'll move on. Fiji 30 beat Scotland 14. I didn't see much of that, boys. I don't think either of these teams will be contending.
Fiji's been strong.
Yeah. They'll be in the quarters, I'd say.
They're in the quarters.
Yeah,
there
you go.
They're in the quarters.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
They're in the quarters against New Zealand.
Oh, is that right?
They've got a tough task
on Sunday.
Straight up. Yeah.
Okay, so that's evolving because I've just did some homework there. All right, so Lebanon, we face them. That's confirmed. Saturday, 5th of November at 6:30 a.m. They just beat Jamaica 74-12. The Source scored a hat trick. Do the Kangaroos need to worry about this mob, Brownie?
Oh, look, Michael Checker, the coach, would definitely have them up for it. And they'll call on the Aussies after the game. They'll say, bring on the Aussies.
Well, they've got Mitchell Moses. They've got Dewey. They've got the Source, obviously. They're a quality side. There's a young Rabbitoh coming off the bench that's killing it. Chaps.
Yeah, Jackson Rami had a huge match off the bench, 150 metres. Some big carries. So he's an exciting prospect. One of Jimmy LaHood's boys.
Dr. Jimmy.
Shout out to you, Jimmy.
Introduced it to him one day there at Redfern. He was just finished training. He came up. He seems like a nice fellow. He's well built. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's a really strong forward. Got
a rich history in Redfern, the Lebanese community, and so it's quite ironic that we're playing him in a knockout stage on Saturday.
Similar to the Kumals, they've got a lot of part-time players playing the game, and as have a lot of the second-tier nations, they're all part-timers, and they're playing, they're doing some good things. They're playing some great footy, and the experience of Mitchell Moses and Dewey leading them around the park, they'll put up a fight against the Aussies. But it's just, and it's the same with all these other second-tier nations. They have trouble sustaining it for the 80 minutes, don't they?
Yep.
I mean, they'll put in a good 20 or 30 minutes, and then obviously, the top teams will get the better of them in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, well, it's all about battling for that number 4 overall supremacy, I suppose. We've already made the point that there's Australia, England and New Zealand, but then Samoa, Tonga, Lebanon, PNG.
I thought Tonga were outstanding and not coming up against much opposition, but the Samoans have hit form, chaps.
Well, we'll go through that result. We've got Tonga 92, Cook Islands 10, 16 tries. Keon had a try assist. Junior ran for 122 metres, so they're a good side.
Yeah.
And then Samoa 62, France 4. 485 metres from May and To'o on the wings. 4 tries to May, 2 tries to To'o. So those two, it's like the Panthers' nightmare reliving itself for the poor old French, who looked all right early, but they've been found out now.
Been outclassed.
Yeah.
These guys are day in, day out NRL players. 15 out of the 17 Samoan players. So it's a tough ask for the French.
Well, we spoke about their poor performance against England. The Samoans in round 1, they might have just had a hangover. There was a lot of Penrith players still in the team. It was only a couple of weeks after the grand final, but they're starting to find a little bit of form now.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Parrish is still at the helm, is he not? Yep.
Well, he is.
Popped a lot of flack in that after that first game. Well, Robbo's in the camp of the French, and look, Matt Parrish just got a win over Trent Robinson. So, it's a funny game, rugby league. But
Bonjour.
Yeah,
There's some big games that come. So the quarterfinals, like we said, they start Saturday morning. Then you've got England play on Sunday. New Zealand plays Fiji, and then there's another game to be announced that might already be out, but I'm not sure. But we'll be back next week when all the big games come on Around the NRL. Brought to you by Bunnies TV and us three. Let's move on to the Melbourne Cup. It's Melbourne Cup Day tomorrow, boys. What are you?
Huge.
You got any plans?
I'm working day shift, so I'll be there till 2 p.m. and obviously the Melbourne Cup kicks off, as it always does, at 3 p.m.
Yeah, I am too, yeah.
It's a big build-up. I think the race before is on like an hour before it, so there's obviously a few events happening around the place, but I'll be just watching it at home, like I always do, sitting on the lounge, and I'll go through my tips a little bit later.
You haven't looked at the Melbourne Cup yet?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
Well, I like two horses, and they're only omens because one of them is trained by the great man Joe Pride, and he's a mad South Sydney Rabbitoh.
We'll just rewind it back to
Stockman too.
Before we go on to that, chaps. We'll just mention Joe Pride because he won the $3 million Nature Strip Stakes on the weekend with Brendan Abdallah aboard. And that was a big moment. And he is a Rabbitoh, and we'd like to get him on for a chat. And he's thinking about maybe that horse, if it can stay, he might put him up for the Cox Plate.
Run. Just come on the outside and just blow him away. Yeah, a couple of mates of mine here in a punters club, and they own it. So
yep, I was with the owner, and just probably talking about the same bloke, Craig Yates. I was with him at the Junior Bunnies Golf Day on Friday. We played at the Coast. He was tipping it. He said it was a big run. Was it in the Everest the week before?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was a big run in the Everest.
Nearly won the Everest. Just got second. So
yes, that's right. And they were tipping it strongly at the Golf Day on Friday.
Geez, they've done all right then if they've ran a place in the Everest $15 million race, the $3 million race they've just won. So they'd be paying the vet bills and all that anyway, the feed bills. And
just going back to Joe Pride, Mavo, yes, we are trying to get Joe on. It's been a big week for him this week. He'll be down in Melbourne tomorrow because he's got a runner in the Cup. But I have spoke to Neil Payne, who's another mad South Sydney Rabbitohs. And for the viewers out there, you might know Neil Payne. He works for Gay Waterhouse. He's a little fella. He's the stable foreman. He's a stable manager.
Former jockey too, isn't he?
Former jockey.
Yep.
And he's the one that wears all the fancy gear, all the fancy suits, the yellow suits, the pink suits, when he's talking on camera to the media about Gay's horses.
To get him on too, Brownie, for sure.
Yeah, he's a great man, and it's Brenton Abdullah's father-in-law. So there's a bit of connection everywhere in the racing circle.
And that was a great ride on Private Eye. So the favourite is DeVille Legend, this overseas import. It's going to be ridden by Kieran McAvoy. Now, my missus saw it on one of the shows the other day, and she's always been owned horses, and she said she likes its stride. It looked very good. She's a bit like Francesca Kamani in the mounting yard, overlooking the horses, and quite often she'll say that looks good, and it'll go out and win. So it's going to be hard. Well, it's always hard when the overseas imports come here and you've got no form line to go on, but apparently he's very good. He's $3.80 favourite, and he's the only runner in single figures. The rest of the field's 10-1 on.
Well, a couple of the favourites have been scratched.
Yeah, the German one. That was supposed to be pretty shit hot, that one.
Correct.
Correct me.
They just brought that horse out in the weekend. I think I spoke about it last week. Was it? I forget the name of it. I think it just... They put it in a terrible position. It couldn't get out. Finally got out and ran about 5th or something.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If it's only had 7 starts, it's very lightly raced.
Lightly raced, correct.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Now, other horses in the race to mention is Stockman, Joe Pride, Rabbitohs trainer. So if you're looking for something, he's a bit of a roughie.
Well, that's who I'm going with. Like I was just about to explain, I've got 2 tips. They're not form tips. They're only omen tips, and Stockman is one of them. Trained by the Rabbitoh Joe Pride. I believe he's got a Rabbitoh tattoo, similar to Chaps's. So we'll find out about that when we get him on.
Joey.
We'll try and get him on after the carnival or a little bit sooner. And ridden by the Sydney jockey Sam Clipperton. Now, this horse, he loves the wet, Mavo.
He does, and it's going to probably be wet down
there. I'd say so. It's still raining.
In Bleak City.
He's drawn very close to the fence. He's drawn barrier 2, I think it is, barrier 2. So he's going to get a soft run on the fence. So look for him weaving his way through the middle. We probably need a little bit of luck, but that's what it's all about, racing.
Well, I like to look for that too. If it's going to be a heavy track, it helps if they've won in the heavy, and he's won 4 times, I think. So that's at least ticking a few other boxes. You got another one there, Brown?
Yeah, the bottom weight, number 24, comes in with the lightweight, gets in with 50 kilos. Another horse that is a stayer. He's won at Flemington over 2,800, is an out-and-out stayer, will stay all day, this horse, and another one that loves the wet. So I just like it because it's the bottom weight. The bottom weights always seem to run well. They carry the lightest weight, and to be ridden by D. Thornton and trained by Anthony Freedman. Now, Lee Freedman, it's not Lee Freedman, it's his brother. Lee Freedman has already trained 5 Melbourne Cup winners. Anthony's probably striving to get his first. He's probably involved with Lee's. They were partners there for many, many years until he took up a radio gig, and still on the radio, I think, isn't he? He's still on 2KY?
He pops up, yeah.
So, number 24. So my 2 tips, Stockman and Realm of Flowers.
It's always good when there's a horse with 50 kilo, no weight, the postage stamp weight they call it, I think, because it's a long race, and I think the bottom weight has won it quite a few times. I've got a couple there. Gold Trip, I like that's run in the Caulfield Cup, and that's usually a good guide for the Melbourne Cup. Unfortunately, though, 57.5 is a big weight to carry. Another one I looked at was High Emotion. I think I was just sitting at home the other day, and it was the Ballarat Cup or the Bendigo Cup or something, and it came out, it was 100 to 1, so I just had a few bucks on it at 100 to 1.
He's been full of emotion, hasn't he? It might be an omen, yeah.
So I got that to win. And there's another one here that my missus mentioned, Luna Flare. Now, there's a little story behind this. Luna Flare is by Fiorente. Fiorente won the Cup in 2013. I was there with my missus. I had her on my shoulders.
Did Gay train her?
Yeah, Gay Waterhouse. I had her on my shoulders, and I don't know if you've ever been to the Cup, but trying to stand there and watch the race, it's almost impossible because there's that much of a crowd, and you can't see over the top. And so I had her on my shoulders, and Fiorente won, and I said, What one? She said, I don't know, I can't see. She still couldn't see on my shoulders. She'd had a few to drink too. But she did back that. She had a little multi that year into the Roosters, Fiorente, and won about $900 on the day. So that was 2013. We don't really want to talk too much about the Roosters. But, yeah, Luna Flare's another one by Fiorente. There's a few roughies, but...
I've got a word to you, Sam, about that, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
You've kept that low for a few years, that one.
What happened there? But anyway, it worked out good, and... so it's going to be a big day.
Chaps?
Yeah,
what do you like?
I like the roughies, mate. I like Danny O'Brien, in the Irishman, and I like all his distance horses. Young Werther, number 11. Yep. Vow and Declare, number 10. And I've just thrown in the 12. Gay Waterhouse, Williams, Ho Ha Mal. I'll take that one too. Yeah. That's 10, 11, 12 trifecta.
Well, Williams is riding well at the moment. He's ridden a couple of big winners lately, and I think
couple of flies in the studio. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think Vow and Declare is a former winner of the Cup.
maybe.
I think it was a placing, maybe. Yeah.
Overrun a place. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. The T20's on. It was a thriller for our friends in Zimbabwe. Bangladesh.
Because they beat Zimbabwe.
They beat Zimbabwe. I forgot to write that down. Shanto for Bangladesh, 71 from 55, hero of the nation. And Zimbabwe had a chance to win the game right at the death. They had a free hit and missed the ball.
They did, yes.
Yeah, so...
A great win. I mean, they're great cricketers over there, the Bangladeshians. It's probably their number one sport in the country, and they live for it. They live and breathe for it.
Not probably, it is.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
And, look, they're going well in the T20 World Cup. I think they've played 3 games for 2 wins, so they're up there, thereabouts, and there's still plenty of time to go. But all around Australia, these games have been held, and some great watching.
Yeah, well, I mentioned India versus Pakistan, the game I watched, and Virat Kohli was the hero. I saw an article by Greg Chappell, and he said this: "It was an innings that showcased the art of batting like no other that I have seen in my lifetime of watching cricket."
Wow, that's high praise from Uncle Greg.
Yeah. Greg Chappell, he's a legend, and he's seen a lot of good innings.
Wow, so I used to love Greg Chappell.
Yeah, and the gist of the article, apart from how good Kohli went, was that T20 is now no longer just a hit and giggle side. I think it's a mainstream way to play cricket, and it's as important as Test cricket or one-dayers.
Well, I was going to talk about the form of cricket. I used to love watching Test cricket until the one-dayers come in, and the one-dayers obviously being 50 overs each. But now I love this form of cricket.
So do I.
The T20, it's quick. It's, like you just said, it's not just smash and bash, but it's a great brand of cricket, I think. And it's played all around the world now, especially, these tournaments where the T20 tournaments, it's great to watch.
Well, it's a whole lot of entertainment just compressed into a time frame that you can get through because people are time poor. They haven't got the time to sit through 5 or 4 days of tests or a whole day of one day, but you can do a T20 in a 3 or 4 hour session.
I'm not a T20 fan. I'm a Test cricket fan.
Oh,
you're a purist.
Purist of the game.
Are you related to the Chappell?
I won't even watch T20. I'll only watch Tests.
You related to Ian and Greg Chappell at all?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. and Australia...
They told me to say
and Trevor, don't forget Trevor, the underarm.
The Under Armour.
Trevor wasn't a bad player, mate.
Australia play Ireland today in a big game. I think they must win because they had a washout, which was a shame. I think they were supposed to play England or whoever and didn't happen. The NFL, chaps, is Tom Brady done? He's having... dramas at home. I think
early in the season, he had a lot of his players weren't available. Your slot receivers, the downfield receivers, they weren't there. They were all there the other day, and he just did not look like
Chaps,
the same I'll tell you what he's lost. He's lost his fastball. When someone's over the middle, he used to be able to get the ball right there in the bread, but it's not getting there in time anymore.
I don't know as much about the NFL as you guys, but what is a slot receiver?
Oh, it's someone that goes back over the middle. He's not the vertical receiver's the one that's going downfield.
Right.
They're the big guys that sit right on the outside.
Yep.
They come over the middle.
Cuts across. So they flow
behind the ruck, basically.
Yeah, they flow like a slant. So we'll start and he'll go cross slant, boom, slot receiver.
Okay,
so short underneath.
Yeah.
So
that's what he was brilliant at.
Yeah.
I know the player you're talking about.
Stuff or he'll just throw a little, screen plays out and his receivers would sort of get him out.
Right.
It's not happening.
So the wide receiver isn't that same player that cuts in behind the ruck.
It's still a wide receiver, but it's just a different wide receiver position.
Okay.
And
I call him the Y. X is the one on the outside, X receiver, and the Y is the one closest to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, there you go.
Sit next to the tight end. The tight end will sit on the outside, do a chip block. He'll come out free himself.
So Tom's has announced that, or they've announced that he's having dramas splitting up with supermodel wife Giselle, and they've got kids. So you can understand why he's off his game. But gee, chaps, he's just not the same player. He's missing throws that he was eating for breakfast.
Look, he's a bloke who's been obsessed with the game of football since he was a kid, and obviously Giselle probably has become second fiddle to football for so long. She's had enough of it.
Yeah,
walked out.
Understand.
Now, at the end of the day, he must love football to walk away from. You think Tom Brady's got money? She's got triple the money he's got.
I know. So there's not money's not
triple the money.
Money's not a problem.
She's an absolute bomb.
Yes,
that's how much this bloke loves football. Just let that sink in. Giselle's a billionaire.
Because if you don't know, he retired at the end of last year, and Giselle was happy. They're going to walk off into the sunset, and all the tributes were made. Then he decided after 40 days that he didn't want to retire.
And he admitted this year's not his last year. He's playing again next year.
Yeah, but you know what? I think the way he's going, he's 45 years old. I think time might be catching up with him.
I'm hearing, being 45 years old, He's out on the circuit, Mavo. He's out on the town, and he's going to parties, which he never used to go to. Well, I heard this from a good source. Yeah, a man who knows his NFL. He's sitting on my left. He's said that he's out on the party scene.
Well, he might be burning the candle at both ends. No wonder he's missing throws that he was making.
And let me tell you, that can affect you. Just ask us. Hey?
His offensive line hasn't helped him this year either. No. He needs everything happening for a guy that age. He's not the most mobile quarterback. He never has been.
No, that's right.
His combine was something like 5.2 or something, wasn't it?
He's slow as a wet week, and it's actually that's what they said. He's trying to escape the pocket now and trying to run. It's like an old man trying to run against these huge linebackers. It's not good, and the Bucks are in trouble. Tom's in trouble, but you never know. Never knock a champion. Never knock a champion. I was going to say that. He might bounce back. So a lot of games left in this season. So we'll just quickly move on to the Bears, chaps. We thought they would come good last week. Justin Fields played all right. They started all right. I think they scored the first touchdown. But the Cowboys, your sneaky tip for the Super Bowl, beat them 49-29 today.
Yeah, they look pretty good today, the Cowboys. Dak Prescott.
Dak's back.
He was a puppeteer. He had him going. They even lost Ezekiel Elliott. He didn't play in the game. They just give it to Pollard. Pollard was outstanding.
Yeah, he looked good.
The Dalton Schultz, the tight end, looks good. The defense, they're just everywhere. They're so quick. Leighton Vander Esch had a big game. Micah Parsons may be the best defensive player in the competition at the moment. He's unbelievable, the number 11, Mike Parsons. So they've got a lot happening at the moment. They'll just keep building. They are America's team.
America's team. They've got a super stadium. The owner he loves
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. He's a
got some coin in the ladder, hasn't he?
He's got plenty of money. So,
boys, can I get an update on Jordan Mailata and the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles? How they going?
Easy win today over Pittsburgh. It was nothing doing.
Yeah,
7-0. They're
just motoring along, eh?
Jalen Hurts went unbelievable today. AJ Brown, who they picked up from the Titans, scored 3 touchdowns and went ballistic, and so he's been a good piece to add to that puzzle.
Well, they threw one down the field, Brown, of this AJ Brown, and two cornerbacks come over towards him. He went up and caught it, turned around. They were both on the ground like that, and he just went.
Yeah,
bye-bye and walked off.
And he got called for taunting.
Yeah, he did.
You just said Jalen Hurts is going unbelievable. Is that because of Jordan Mailata?
Yeah.
Giving him cover? Is that
Not
his job?
Him. Well, it does. Their whole offensive line, they haven't bought one player. They've drafted the entire offensive line.
Yeah.
And he was a 7th-round draft pick, Jordan. Yeah. He's worked out. They've got a guy who I think he was a 1st-round draft pick, Andre Dillard, who's Jordan's holding out. He can't even get in. He's just hanging back as backup in case Jordan goes down, which he did miss a game the other day.
So to answer your question, it doesn't hurt. Pardon the pun.
And I just read in the mainstream media a couple of weeks ago, there's a number of Aussies and Kiwis and maybe Samoans, I don't know, of Polynesian descent, of going over there to trial in the NFL.
Yeah.
They'd seen what Jordan's done.
There's a few this year in the college that might be a chance of getting drafted.
Yep.
And I think a couple of them are defensive players, which is pretty rare to have a defensive player from Australia. So good luck to them.
Now, we've got to mention the 49ers, our mate Gerald Simon's team. He'd be licking his lips because they picked up Christian McCaffrey, and have a listen to this. Today, I think they won. I think the game was still going when we went there.
They won.
He threw a touchdown, he ran in a touchdown, and he caught a touchdown. So not many players can do that, and he did it. And so that team's Super Bowl chances just got a huge up spike.
They've got a couple of players to come back, couple of defensive players.
We've got a red light flashing there.
Oh, gee, I forgot to plug it in again.
We're just about done anyway, aren't we?
We'll just go through the baseball and we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Well, just on that, you said he caught a touchdown, the quarterback. Explain that to the viewers who obviously don't know much about NFL, similar to myself, but I do know what's happened here. Maybe I just moved the camera a little bit, but no, you're right. That's sweet.
Lights on.
So what's happened there, chaps? He's obviously thrown the ball to his teammate, and then his teammate has thrown it back to the quarterback. Is that what's happened? Yeah,
well, it's a screen pass behind the line of scrimmage, so he's thrown it backwards. He's got it out on the perimeter and chucked it downfield for Brandon Ayuk, I think it was, for a touchdown.
It was genius, Brownie, because what happened was the quarterback throws it backwards, called a lateral to him, right? So everyone thinks Christian's going to run the ball or do something, but in the meantime, a receiver's gone down the field, and no one was thinking what he's doing.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets it, he throws it to him unmarked and scores in the corner. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant play call, and I love seeing
I think there should be more of that.
Yeah.
A little bit of passing like the NRL. And it happened a couple of weeks ago. I've seen it once again on social media. I think they threw the ball about 10 times, the team. It was in the dying seconds.
Yep.
And they were throwing it around like hot potato, like it was a rugby league game.
Yeah, well, Philadelphia did it in the grand final. Not the grand final, the Super Bowl a few years ago did a similar play, chaps, if you remember. But anyway, we'll move on because I've got to go.
He's just been traded, so they're calling it the trade of the decade. So this Christian McCaffrey trade, if it works out,
unbelievable,
special.
Yeah, and poor old Carolina looked like they were going to win today in overtime against Atlanta. The kicker had a chip shot from 30 out and kicked it wide, and then Atlanta went down the field and beat them. So breaking the Carolina.
What about the pass by PJ Walker, backup quarterback down to DJ Moore with 3 seconds to go?
Yeah,
60-yard pass in the breadbasket, scored to force it into overtime, and then I think it's De Niro.
We love the game. We've got to move on. Baseball. The Astros, chaps has tipped them. In game 1, they were up 5-0 and got beat. Somehow.
I did say 4-2 in this series.
Yeah, 4-2. And then they hit back the next game. 1-1 in the series. That's a huge series. Houston versus the Phillies. The Astros versus the Phillies. And game 3 is on tomorrow. Melbourne Cup Day, 11 o'clock, if you want to watch a bit of baseball before.
Just on that, has there been some accusations about some of these teams, chaps?
Oh, they got caught cheating a few years ago. The Astros, they had someone reading the catcher's signals for the what pitch he wants and all that. So there's they've also looks like there's a bit of footage of them. It's ball tampering as well.
Is that years ago, but not
No, this is in this series too.
Wow. Well, there you go.
They'd do anything to win, the Astros.
Come in, Houston. Okay, remember to leave a comment below. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. See you later.
See you later.